First thing we're talking about, folks, our niche is growing. There's a very prominent house wholesaling group. Great people. I know some of them personally. They have forever. What's up, Frank? Nice to see you. They have forever been one of the authorities on house wholesaling. I'm not going to go into names. And all of a sudden, about 6 months ago, now they're pumping land courses, right? Now, why is this? First, let's understand the mechanics of what's happening in the market, right? If you look at apartments, I got some buddies that do apartments full time, where a few years ago they could find 10, 15, 18 caps like regularly. Nowadays, they're saying you're lucky if you can get out of the deal at a 3 or a 4 or a 5 cap. And that's basically the return, right? How much money you're making on your investment. 5%, 6%, 10%, 15%, right? In land, we consistently, and most people here know this, we consistently make 150, 250, 350% or more on our deals. And so when some of these markets like apartment investing and fix and flips and BRRRR style buying, rent, hold, all that stuff, those markets are extremely saturated. They're saturated right now. At least from my experience, I don't do it. And I know people that are still getting deals. But I think anybody in that sphere would tell you, yeah, it's a much different market than it was a year ago. So new people, new investors have a lot harder time getting started. And what's the solution, right? Well, let's get them into land because we know they're going to be successful, right? Because there's so much, infinity supply, it seems like, of distressed vacant properties. There's so many, millions and millions of them. So much supply, it's easy to get deals, especially the smaller, medium-sized deals. It's easy to do. So these groups are switching over and they're pumping courses and getting people into their ecosystems. And, it's a great strategy because land does work. Almost everybody who comes into land and takes the right steps will find deals. They will take them down. They will make money. It's a very, very profitable space. But all these courses are pushing land like we've never seen before. There used to be 4 or 5 groups that taught it. Now there's probably 40 or 50 groups. I swear I see a new one every single day. So naturally, what does that create? Right? What does that create? That creates noise. Creates a lot of freaking people talking. Think about your sellers, people who you're trying to buy land from, right? Whenever you send a mailer to them and there's 4 other mailers that came 4 days ago, how do you stand out? Why would they call you? That's what we're talking about today. I'm going to give you 3 strategies and a couple little bullet points on each one to increase your conversions, to stand out, right? My team, we have a team on intake, team on sales. It is a non-negotiable that everything you do leads to a phone call, right? So I'll talk about that a little more in a minute, but what I'm trying to get at is marketing turns into conversations turn into deals, all right? And that's kind of the stuff we're going to talk about. How are we taking deals down? What are we doing? How are we getting on the phone? All that stuff. One other thing I have here, people ask me all the time, like, Clint, what do you think? And maybe not all the time, but people ask me, Clint, what do you think about land? Like, is the arbitrage still going to be here in 5 years? When is this ride going to stop, right? And people that I know that have been investing in land for a long, long time have said that they've gone through those same cycles. And again, the sheer supply of land, and when you have the knowledge of how to acquire land properties way under market value, that skill set seems to have been valuable for the last 100 years. There's somebody, I don't know their name, but they collect, which I think is so cool. I'm going to get into this. They collect old newspaper clippings from like the early 1900s, mid 1900s, of people doing the same thing we're doing, going out, buying land, reselling it, cutting it up, subdividing it, whatever the strategy is, going out, selling it for, I think I even saw an ad, it was something like $10 down and $3 a month or something like that, way, way long ago when money had a different value. So people say, Clint, what do you think? Like, are we headed into a space where land's going to be diluted? It's going to be oversaturated. The returns aren't going to be as large. No, that's my thought. From the data I've been given, from the people I speak with, every market's got a cycle. It's going to go up and down. But the people who stay consistent, and consistency is something I preach to my clients, the people who stay consistent will win. we had a not great January and first half of February. We have big goals coming into the new year, really excited to hit the ground running, and then like very, very flat January and early Feb, like maybe 3, 4, 5 sales. Not great. Well, the back half of the first quarter, we were doing the same things we were doing in the first half, working on the little things, staying consistent, putting our marketing, putting our deals out there, getting on the phone, and we're taking deals down. And then we finished the back half of our quarter with like 750,000 in sales. And it was a really, really, really great quarter for us. But it didn't seem like that the first 45 days. Consistency, consistency, consistency. So will we see a dip in the market? Will it be more competitive for a while? Probably. But the people who are consistently putting mailers out, consistently marking their properties, and building listen, write this down, take it home, building the structure around the business that keeps you consistent, that is how you'll win. I'll say it one more time, it's so important. Building the structure around the business that helps you stay consistent is how you will win in this space. Okay. Well, what do I mean by that? I'm going to jump into my first point here, right? I'll jump to my first point. What do I mean by staying consistent? Your service has to be above and beyond, right? So what do I mean when I say service? I'm talking about your team, all right? I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they made an awesome point to me. They say, and we were talking in our Facebook group or something, they said, a business is something you can sell. A hobby is something you do to make extra cash. So if you sit in your seat and look at your business right now, or your land investing company, is it a business or is it a hobby or a side hustle? I ask people this all the time, because if you don't have employees, if you don't have processes and systems that keep you accountable, if you don't have the mechanics in place to where you could turn and show somebody else how to do the business and they could run it, it's not a business. And I don't say this in a tough way. Some people love the solopreneur lifestyle. They love not having any responsibility or, any people they have to meet with or be accountable for, right? When you have employees, like you got to pay the check every month. You got to like make sure enough deals are coming through, right? Your team keeps you consistent. And in this day and age, as we're talking about standing out in a competitive market, and then you take my other point of, hey, all the deals happen on the phone. Well, what's that a recipe for? You got to have a team. You've got to have a team is where I'm going here, right? And again, if you don't have a team, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. You're still going to do deals. But when I say the most important thing, there we go, clear up. When I say the most important thing in this business is staying consistent, the one thing that I've done in my business to keep me the most consistent is have a team. Even if that's one person. I was talking to one of my coaches the other day who just hired his first full-time person, and he says something to me to the effect of, wow, like when you have an employee on your team and they're expecting to be on the phone with sellers, or they're expecting to be working deals, and you don't have mail going out, you don't have deals running through, it puts a whole different world of pressure on you. It puts a whole different kind of stress on, because you're paying somebody, you're kind of providing part of their livelihood. Are you taking, and like the stress you'll get is, what steps am I taking to ensure that I can pay them every month? Having a team around you is so important. But how does that go back to standing out in a competitive niche? You got to pick up the phone, right? You got to do what you got to do what you say you're going to do. Here is the biggest place where, if you're brand new in this space, and again, I want you to understand, I generally talk with investors who are doing more business already, right? They've done 100,000, 200,000 in deals. But if you're newer in here, I don't want you to think you have to like go and hire somebody out the gate. I actually wouldn't recommend that. This whole thing is about putting structure in place, and the mechanics are the same, right? So my first bullet point here on your service needs to go beyond, your team has to stand out, is you can't be a rookie, all right? And even if you are a rookie, it's kind of the old fake it till you make it, right? If you are getting on the phone with people these days in the land space and you're not confident, and the second thing I think is really important, you don't do what you say you're going to do. So maybe you said you're going to get them an offer tomorrow or within 48 hours, and you don't get it to them because you were busy with family, you haven't sat down to do it and send it. You've lost the deal 80% of the time, right? If you go and you tell somebody, hey, we're going to close this deal for 15,000, and you go back and you go through a little more due diligence and you find out, well, I can actually only pay 9,000, right? where that objection you may have been able to win that on the front end. You've lost their trust, right? You didn't do your due diligence correct. You didn't price your property correctly, and therefore you lose deals. It's so, so important, right? Whether you have a team or you don't have a team. The most important thing in this business, I will tell you every single time, for as long as I'm doing this, the most important thing is being on the phone. The most important thing is being on the phone. I build everything in my business around the amount of time I expect myself or my team to have to be on the phone. So we sit down, and I did this yesterday with my partner. We sat down and we said, okay, if we send this much mail, we're expecting this many phone calls. My data says we're spending an average of 14 minutes per call. Add an extra 5 minutes for cleanup and note taking. We're spending 20 minutes a call. I need to budget to have somebody on the phone for 20 minutes times as many leads as I'm expecting, right? So when I go out to build my team and hire and conceptually understand what it's going to take from me, or the work, the lift it's going to take to get us to the next level, I have to understand we're going to have 100, 200 hours, 300 hours. I think the actual number came out on the intake side around 350 hours a month is spent on the phone coordinating deals, on the phone or coordinating deals, whether that's a text, an email, call to the title company. 300 to 400 hours a month. Is that right? That's not right. That is not right. Hold on, let me take that back. That was double. We were spending 150 to 200 hours a month is what we were spending, okay? And that's a whole person's full-time salary, 40 hours a week, right? 160 hours a month. We were spending 150 to 200 hours per month in the coordinating, calling people back, following up with sellers, and that's just on that one side of the business. But I want you to understand why I'm talking from this perspective is if you don't have that role taken care of and taken care of well, your business won't scale. So how does this go back to standing out? When somebody calls you and you don't call them back in 15 minutes, you literally run the risk of them calling somebody else in that amount of time because they are getting more offers. There are more letters going out. There are more people doing this. If you can't get on the phone in time, can't follow up. You can't follow up, you're not going to gain their trust. You're not going to do the deal. Right? Second thing I started talking about, first thing, right? Don't be a rookie. If you say you're going to get him an offer, you got to have either the consistency on your side to get the offer in the amount of time you said, or you've got to have a team. You got to have somebody there to do it. Consistency is what will create this business at scale for you. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier this morning, and I used to do a ton of business. There's a group out here that called me the king of Costilla County, Colorado at one point. I used to do a ton of business out there. First 2 years I was doing this business. And truth be told, just the offer prices versus the sales price, it just wasn't as big of an arbitrage as it used to be. So I kind of like stopped doing business there. I still have a few relationships where we sell land there, but for the most part, I stopped mailing and sourcing deals there. I'm talking with another one of my buddies who is a big time land investor, has employees, does the whole thing. And he said he asked me a question about Costilla. And I was answering him, and I was like, yeah, I haven't worked out there in a while, actually, though, just because of the prices. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We just sent a bunch of mail out there, and it's working great, right? But he has a team. He has all the pieces in place. He has the ability to get in touch with motivated sellers and get that deal to close quickly. So why am I telling this? To illustrate to you, even in the most competitive, I would call that market, Costilla County, Colorado, as far as what we do, in the top 3 most trafficked markets in this niche. Yet somebody that I know that follows basically the same strategy I do, that hires and has a team and is consistent and does what he says he's going to do, is working in that market, and he's making a ton of money and he's doing a ton of deals. So that shows you that even now, in the most competitive of markets, there's still plenty of business to be had. But your professionalism, your ability to deliver on what you say you're going to do, that goes back to the mailer. If you say, call me, I'll get you an offer in 3 days, and they call you and you don't call them back for 2 days, you've already lost their trust, right? If they call you and they're expecting to speak to somebody that can help them, or they really have a motivated situation where they need to sell, and you're not on the phone with them, not going to get the deal done, right? Somebody else, I tell people this all the time, if you don't do it, I'm going to do it, right? Because we do put a lot of mail and marketing on it. When that phone call comes in, everything in my business is built to get them on the phone and get the deal closed. The nuances, the tech, everything else works itself out. The phones are where you will stand out. So whether it's you doing it, whether it's a team doing it, you need to be consistent. And if you're not, that's how you're going to lose a bunch of deals. Okay? All right. Number 2, your marketing, my friends, needs to stand out. I'm going to pull my comments up here just one second. Your marketing needs to stand out. So what do I mean by that? On our YouTube channel, we're going to be putting out a really, I think it's a funny video we made a couple months ago. We're going to be putting out a video where I go to my mailbox and I get all of the mail I got in that week. And I literally sit down and I show you that I can tell from an envelope what guru or what program this investor took, right? I can do it, and I did it very, very well. I pulled like 20 letters out, like this is that group, this is that group, before even opening it. And of course, I was correct after I did it. And I tell you that, I tell you that for this fact of your marketing has to be on point. Let me turn myself down there. What's up, Adam? What's up, Frank? What's up, Juan? Good to see you guys. Okay. There are more offers going out. Like I said, I've done a lot of business in some very populous areas in this space, the very trafficked areas. I have dozens, 50 plus notes in some of these areas. And whereas 3 months ago, I'm even probably recorded somewhere saying, I don't get a ton of mail. Realistically, for how many properties I have out there, I don't get a significant amount of mail, which is why I've always felt very confident that this niche isn't going anywhere. If in one of the most trafficked areas, I'm not getting a ton of mail because the properties are in my name, I know exactly what's going on, then that tells me the markets aren't that competitive. But where I'm going with this is in the last 3 months, that has changed dramatically. Really, it has. Like we're getting significantly more mail than I used to. And for whatever reason it is, maybe it's all the teaching and the gurus and the new people coming in. Maybe it's just a hot time people are mailing. What I can say is more offers are going out. As I land that thought, more offers are on the table. God, I have that stack of mail somewhere. I wish I had it in my hand. So look, I want to tell you a quick story. We had a deal a little while back where we were working with the seller and we were on the phone with him at some point. Now we're texting. No, let me take that back. We were on the phone with him. Another investor was texting him. Okay? We were on the phone with him. Another investor was texting. Older gentleman, didn't really know what was going on. Long story short in that story, we send our contract to the title company and they say, hey, we can't accept this. We have another purchase agreement that was sent to us yesterday. We said, what? That doesn't make any sense. It was for a different amount than what we had. And so we called this guy back. We're like, man, what's going on? Like, there's this other contract the title company says they already have. And he's like, no, I just signed the contract. He said, I thought it was funny you sent it to me twice, but yeah, I signed it and you should have it. I was like, what's going on? Once I heard that, I was like, what's going on? So basically what had happened is we were calling him and somebody was texting him at the same time, same hours, same day. He was getting a bunch of letters. And this isn't an area there's not many people. So there are offers that land on top of each other, right? There are offers that land on top of each other. And if you think from a seller's perspective, like, hey, I'm the seller, I own this property out here on the mountainside, right? And I'm getting all these letters. For A, a lot of the letters look the same. So if you went through program A or program B and you're just going into their CRM and sending the same letter out, from my perspective, as the seller with the property on the mountainside, I'm thinking to myself, man, this one company keeps sending me all these letters. Because from a normal person's perspective, if the letter looks exactly the same, it's kind of strange, right? Why is the same company? People don't really delineate. They do to an extent, but they really don't delineate the volume of different people asking them. They just think to themselves, people want to buy land. People want to buy my land. So who am I going to call? When they think almost all the letters are the same person, how do you stand out? I think you know the answer already. You need to have a different offer. You need to have a different template. You need to have something in your marketing creative. I'll dig into that one second. You have to have something in your marketing creative that in that left side of the brain, when somebody is thinking about, okay, we get this letter, what creatively is going to stand out? Because they just scan it and they go on with their day. You've got to have a creative difference that allows you to stand out. So think about what direct mail marketing is. Okay? It's in the title. It's marketing. People think that the marketing, the direct mail side, people think that that is their business. They think that that's real estate investing. Sending that out and getting the calls and doing the deals. No, you have to separate this bucket. Direct mail, cold calling, text messaging, reverse voice, ringless voicemails, letters, like whatever you're sending out, it's marketing. And the purpose of a marketing, a piece of marketing is to create a conversation. If you go into any big company, how it's pretty universally understood companies operate is there's a marketing department and there's a sales department. We as land investors often try to blend the two, okay? Can't do that. Marketing is different than the actual investing or sales portion of it. So everything we do from the marketing standpoint, sending out direct mail, the wording on the template, the colors on the template, the price on the template, that's marketing. The goal isn't to, and this is going to come as a shock to a lot of people who've gone to the programs where you send a contract in the mail and expect a contract back. That's ridiculous. Whoever teaches that is numb in their brain, I think, because 90% of the time it doesn't work like that. And any contract I get back after doing this for almost 5 years, first thing I say to myself is, what's wrong with that property? Because most people want to negotiate a little bit. They want to learn who you are, right? I would say 7 out of 10 times when somebody sends a contract back to me, which they don't anymore because we don't do it, but when they were, there was a problem with it, right? And so if you kind of zoom out and think what's realistic to be doing in this day and age, right? Don't just send a freaking contract to people. Send them a piece of marketing, whether it's one letter or 2 sheets, or it's long form, or it's more postcard style, like whatever it is, you have got to be different because you're working with a very, you're working in a unique time where you don't need to be a marketing genius. You just don't need to use the same template that everybody else is using, right? If you're using the same template all the time that everybody else is using, you're going to look like them and the seller is going to think you're all the same person. So at that point, what you're basing your business off of is luck. Am I getting lucky that they're calling me back? All right. So very, very important. The creative piece of your marketing needs to look different. If it's the same words, the same format, the same everything, your letter gets opened, read, and thrown away typically, right? If it's different, sometimes it gets saved. If it's different and it reads more personally, doesn't look like everything else, sometimes people say, man, this one company, remember, it was probably 5 or 10 people who sent that letter template, but they think it's one person. This one company keeps trying to scam me and steal my land, but this Clint guy, his message read a little differently, looks like he's a down-to-earth guy. I'm at least going to call him. Before I call the big company, I'm going to call him and see if this guy can help me out with my problem. And if they get to that point in their decision-making process, 9 out of 10 times I'll win that deal versus somebody else. I'll even win it if my price isn't as good because we have an incredible team. People who get on the phone, people who have learned and we've trained this skill set of what to look for, what to ask, what happens when somebody says, I have another offer. Because as I was talking about the first bullet point is you got to have the service. You've got to have the customer service that allows you to go above and beyond, right? Well, what do you need if you got the team and the customer service? Well, you need phone calls. And that's where your marketing creative needs to be different, okay? I think that's the most important thing right now. I also put on my bullet point, like you got to be better on the sales side as well. To be frank with you, we're in such a hot market right now, like not even by design. I buy most of my, like if I send a contract out, 9 times out of 10, I'm expecting to perform on that contract. Whereas a lot of people send out wholesale offers and go that strategy. On that side of the business, the sales side of the business, we are unintentionally selling properties before we close them. You know, we're looking at 30, 45-day closes right now. By the time we get our contract, we're marketing it. We almost like 7 times out of 10 these days, we got a buyer before it closes. And so sales side is important, don't get me wrong. And we'll talk about that at a later date. But really, if you're just marketing in the right places these days, presenting the right opportunities, and then very important, have somebody that gets on the phone with them when they call, right? Paying $500 a month for land.com isn't great, but it provides great leads. And if you have somebody on the phone that can answer the calls and take those leads down before they scroll to the next and the next and the next option, you're going to be successful. So sales side, I don't really think at this point, this day and age, you need to be super worried about, are my videos the prettiest? Are my pictures the prettiest? Is my branding the prettiest? I think that helps in more of a down market. We're in an up market. If you have good opportunities, they will sell. But where you really need to delineate yourself is you need to have different creative on the marketing for seller side, and you need to have somebody that can get on the phone. You can't be a rookie. You've got to stick to your promises, and you got to be professional. You got to be professional at the end of the day. And so I think that's also important, right? Just to kind of land this plane here. Marketing, direct mail, cold calls, text messages, everything, whatever you're doing, it's marketing. The purpose is a conversation. The purpose is not a signed contract. Any operator, any successful operator in this business will tell you the purpose of sending out marketing efforts is to create conversations, to create interest. It's not to price your letter perfectly, right? It's not to have as little touch points as possible. There's a guru out there that says you don't ever have to talk to anybody to do this business. That's silly, okay? This business, you make or break yourself by how you respond to people, how you follow up, and the response you get from your marketing. All right. Okay. Third thing I have on here, kind of perpendicular, maybe perpendicular to what I was talking about, is everything is bigger right now. Okay. Like the last 5 properties we've sold have been at or above market. And normally, whenever, say 1 year ago, if I had a property listed for $25,000 and somebody called me and said, I'll give you $19,000 today, I would say 8 times out of 10, I'll just take it, right? Because it wasn't as many buyers back then. Now people are asking me to modify my terms. I'm like, no, buddy, we got so much interest in this lot. And so what my bullet point reads here is think bigger than you were before. The first thing I'll say is whoever you learned from, there's probably only one group out there that I would say this doesn't apply to, which would be Casual Fridays, but like whoever you learned from, they did not tell you the right amount of like mailers to deals. I know somebody that says every 1,000 mailers you send, you should get 2 or 3 deals. Maybe like 5 years ago. Today, everything is bigger. There's more people mailing, right? Bigger. There's more people mailing. There's more properties being traded. There's more stuff on the sell side. There's more activity. So that means I live here in the great state of Texas, right? Everything's bigger in Texas. You gotta think bigger. One of the first things that I work on, whether you're in our mastermind program or you're just working with me one-on-one, is I say, hey, like how we need to change this mindset. If you think sending 1,000, 2,000 mailers a month is enough, let's change that mindset to 15 or 20,000 a quarter. And how do we build the team behind that? Everything is bigger. If you were sending 1,500 offers a month, you need to double or triple that. If you're offering 20% of market value, you need to double it. Okay. Everything is getting bigger. There's more and more and more now. Okay. More offers, you need higher pricing, and you need more volume. Okay. I'm not saying you need to go from 20% to 80% of market value, but those old, outdated norms, those numbers don't work anymore. So you've got to be sending more mail, and you've got to have higher offer prices, or at least you need to have the ability to get on the phone and tell somebody, hey, if we missed the offer price, let me know what we missed. We'll see if we can't drum something up better for you. I have on my template, we will 100% of the time be the biggest, the highest and best offer. And sometimes I've overpaid for a lot, for a lot or two, but for the most part, I win because I understand I can buy land at 40, 50, 60% of value and still make a great payday. Because I got my funding set up correctly. I got my deal structure set up correctly. I got everything set up right. Oh no. Oh, I hope I didn't freeze here. Let's see. Oh, good. We're still rocking and rolling. Okay. I thought that I froze. Okay. Everything is bigger. All right. Everything's got to be bigger. You got to be sending more mail. You got to have higher offers. And you got to have the ability to get people on the phone and take that thing down. That is the secret right now, my friends, to standing out in a competitive market. So I'm just making sure I didn't freeze again. Okay. Those are my 3 points for you today. Thank you, Juan. I appreciate you, brother. Patrick asked a great question. Hey, Clint, what is your close rate for request? Make sure I read that correctly. What is your close rate for offer request? So somebody calls, Patrick, they say, hey, we want an offer on our props. What's the number? What's my percentage of close? Don't have it off the top of my head. It's really high. It's really, really high. And let me kind of fill in some context on why it is because, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being here. The reason it is because, I'm going to go back to my guru rant one more time, is a lot of people teach one style. So group A teaches a style of sending a mailer. Group B teaches a style. Group C teaches a style. And one of my mentors, my earliest and best mentors, when I was trying to swim and figure out this, wasn't even in the land space, this guy. He said, from what you're telling me, I don't think it matters which program you learn from, which thing you do, is because what all those guys are teaching you are different tools in the tool belt. That's how I like to think about it. So if I get on the phone with somebody and my 30% offer isn't working, right? And it's just, there's some people you talk to and there's no way in the world you're going to get that property for 30%. Well, myself and my team were trained to understand, okay, we don't have to make 3X on this property. What if I can go back to the guy and give him a higher offer? Or we can do some sort of creative partnership, or we can get this deal taken down and maybe that seller will finance it to me at a higher number. Like there's so many different strategies you can take, right? Buying super below market isn't the only one. So oftentimes we try 3 or 4 different things before somebody says no. And Patrick is absolutely right. Yeah, follow up. I mean, we touch a lead 7 times. It's annoying, but we touch it 7 times before we close it or move it to follow up later. So we follow up significantly and we present a ton of different solutions. If buying for 35, 40% of market value isn't going to cut it, that's just the case with some people. But if I can go in and get a 90 or 120-day close at a higher price, well, my kick-ass sales and marketing team is going to get that property sold by then anyway. So I try and win every opportunity I can. Obviously, if the money doesn't make sense or the time I'm going to have to invest doesn't make sense, then the deal doesn't work. But Patrick, if I had to say, I would say we get a 50 to 60% deal takedown rate from leads that come in. I should look at this number. I just haven't looked at it recently, but we're generating 600-700 leads a year, good qualified leads, and we're doing 200-300 deals a year. So just depends, and we're also switching our business model a little bit to be higher priced deals. So it just kind of depends on what context you're coming from. But if you put the pieces in place and you do it correctly, I'm so confident that you'll win every deal you can. So Patrick says he's implementing this in his business now. You're going to kill it, man. I'm telling you. So Kyle says, how high would you say is too high for an offer rate compared to market value? Again, Kyle, like I was just talking to a buddy of mine. This isn't necessarily my style, but we do deals like this occasionally. He went in under contract on a piece of property that the seller, he offered like 40,000. The guy was like, no freaking way, pound sand. Well, he got the deal done at 85,000, never closed, wasn't planning on closing. And he sold it 2 weeks later for 129,000, right? So that's like 70% of market value is the offer price. So the offer price doesn't matter. It's the deal structure and the takedown strategy, right? So you said, how high is too high? When I'm going in, and you think about it, like when you send a mailer out, part of the reason there's an offer on there is to get out everybody who wants 110% of market value and get everybody in who maybe wants 50, 60% or lower, right? So I normally wouldn't put an offer on there that's higher than 40%, only for the reason because somebody who is not super motivated isn't going to call when they see a number in that range. Somebody who's wishy-washy or very motivated is going to. So it's a built-in mechanism to keep your call volume down. So I typically wouldn't go above 40, 45%. That's what I'd say. Patrick, of course, we'll talk sometime. Okay, guys, awesome. I ran long, as always, 45 minutes. I'll never make it on time. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Sign up for our webinar. End of the month, 5- and 6-figure deals, how we're doing them, the anatomy of them. And what I think is more important is how we're doing them consistently. That's really what I'm going to be focused on. Not how are we doing onesie twosies of these, but how do we consistently take 3, 5, 10 deals where we net 5 or 6 figures? How do we take those down every single month? That's more important to me. Obviously, we know the deals are out there, but what I think about is strategy, consistency, and how you grow the business, right? I'll give you a bunch of tactics. We have an awesome Q&A session, free webinar. The link is in the comments here. It'll also, if you're watching on YouTube, be in the description. So sign up for that. If you're interested in our mastermind, link also below me. Sign up for the wait list. We're only taking 30 people. There's already 30 people on the wait list. So sign up. We'll keep you in the loop whenever we open the doors up for that. And come to the webinar. It's going to be really fun. Have a few hundred people there, just around 100 people, because I'm not buying the Zoom upgraded webinar seat. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Love having you guys. Love answering your questions. Hope you have an awesome week. You can always reach me in here if you got any questions. And thank you all for being here. Have a great rest of your week. Oh, it's Thursday. I thought it was Friday. Happy Thursday. Hope you have an awesome weekend. Randy Carter, thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to having you. Thanks, Pat. See you guys later. Have a great week. See you. Bye.